A quick disclaimer, this is a video for those who find it difficult to revise the Quran. And just a few days ago, you probably know, and just a few days ago, I went onto this work season. Before I went into this work season, a few weeks actually, before I started to think about the work season, my Quran was very, very consistent. I have a habit tracker, you cannot see it, but there is a habit tracker here, and there used to be a habit tracker in this place. I track about 4 months now. And I used to track this progress on like my Moraja. It was very, very good. Like I used to track green. I have like a marker green, and then there's red right there. I used to track green for when I do that thing, and then red when I miss it. And for my Moraja, it was very, very consistent. But then when I started to get these thoughts on working as much as possible, getting this grind mode, getting this grind season, whatever, I started to drift away from my Quran. And in the past, like some surahs were very, very difficult for me to memorize, and for me to revise, and for me to keep it. For example, like Surah Al-An'am, I was just about getting this to become a little bit solid. I was from about there's about like 24 pages, I think, or 23 pages, and I can recite like 17 pages without looking at all. Some pages I would like look at it and everything, but it was starting to become stronger. And then that's when I went into this work season. And when I went into this work season, I just left the Quran for over 3 weeks. I haven't revised. Every single time I would start to revise, for example, the first page I started to revise from Surah Al-Baqarah. The moment I reach about 2-3 pages, my mind just drift away and onto something else. Okay, just drift away to something else. And I've been wondering, like, why is that like that? And so I've been wondering, like, what have I done? Before I started the work season, I set some clear rules saying that I'm gonna work as hard as possible, with as much focus as possible. Sacrifice today for tomorrow. I'm gonna delay gratification. I'm gonna do all these things, but I'm not gonna neglect the habits that brought me to that thing in the first place. I said I'm gonna keep my habit tracker. I'm not gonna remove my habit tracker, because in the past, like, there was some season I went to work season and I just removed my habit tracker. I removed so many things. This time I'm gonna keep my systems on maintenance. I said I'm gonna keep my Quran on maintenance, keep my fitness on maintenance, and everything in maintenance. And it kind of worked somehow, but the problem is that I'm not getting the energy to revise the Quran. And I'm gonna take you to the and just a few days ago, I had to brutally force myself to revise the Quran. It felt so sweet. I felt so much more joy in revising the Quran. There were certain things that influenced my decision of not revising the Quran as much during the work season. For example, like some of my friends, there was one friend in particular who told me the best way to revise. He said I should open the Mus'haf. I should be looking at the Mus'haf and I will be reciting the Quran slowly. I was doing that, but it's just that I was not seeing immediate results. And then another friend of mine, who he terminated the Quran competition, he told me, like, nah, that's not the most effective way to do about it. Because even though you did that, you still have to remember things in your head. And then he told me to just revise very fast. Just revise before you next. He gave me a different formula. Okay, he said I should revise the Quran very fast to complete the portion and use the rest of the time to gather, to like look for like mutashabihat and everything. It kind of worked, but it went against the 4 laws of behavior change, just mentioned in like this book, Atomic Habits. The 4 laws of behavior change. You probably have heard of it, and I will take you through the 4 laws of behavior change, and I will see why the second option was not the great thing. The first law of behavior change: make it obvious. Make it obvious. And I think that I gave a story in this channel once, whereby people just talk about making it obvious, and they just give you vague advice on the internet. When I say make it obvious, and I followed so many advice, like make it obvious, like put the Quran next to your bed so that you read it. Like I can't keep the Quran next to my bed and not do the Quran. I read it so many times, and so I realized that what actually is making it obvious. And I'm gonna first of all give you a story to kind of just to give you, and just to give you context. I'm gonna give you a story so that you'll be able to understand the way I understand it from my own perspective. There was a time back in 2025, around the end of 2025, my phone was spoiled and I have no phone. My laptop battery life was terrible. I cannot sit down for more than an hour on my laptop, and also if you don't know, in Nigeria the electricity is very bad, and so I have no option. I was here. I am in my room. The university we finished the exams. In the university, so it was on holiday as well. I have no other option but to sit down and do Quran. It's not that I just sat down in my bed like thinking like, what should I do? My mom would not allow me to use my phone because the electricity was very bad, especially at that time. And so I grabbed my Quran. I opened the Quran and I was just reciting the Quran. I was not constantly saying I need to revise for a certain period of time. I just opened and I was just revising. I was looking at some pages and I think there's this second Musaf I have, which there's a word for word translation and then there's a side translation inside. Now here I was just looking at it like this, and I just reciting the Quran. I was some verses. If I wanted, I would just go and look for the verses, and I was also before I knew it, some hours went in. But just okay, I just did not even notice that. The after a few minutes, I have nothing else to do. I'm telling you, I have nothing else to do. And I was not even working as well because I said I'm gonna work for some time and just have a little bit of time for my Quran, for my work, whatever. This is a side story. I have no option. I had to just get my Musaf. Every single time I feel bored, I would try to beg my mom for a phone. She said, "Nah, she's not gonna give me my phone because like I cannot see the electricity like everything." They bring the electricity for like once a day, maybe an hour, 2 hours. That's in 24 hours. Imagine 2 hours of like electricity. So she cannot she cannot give me my phone and my laptop. I cannot use it for more than 1 hour. And the electricity as well is not predictable. Okay, it's not that okay from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. No. Randomly they might bring the electricity when I'm sleeping, so it's just random. And so I open the Musaf every single time. I just get bored. I just open the Musaf. After a while, before I knew it, in just a short period of time, I was able to re-memorize 10 juz, the one just like under a month. I was able to bring it back, and that's when I realized, okay, this is what it means to make it obvious. Okay, they don't say look at the Quran. The wording specifically make it obvious. Have nothing else but the Quran. I'm not meaning like to cut off everything else and delete the Quran. No. If you want this habit to be ingrained like so much, leave it as the only available option. I had no other option. Like, in fact, try to lock yourself in the room. Keep the keys elsewhere and keep the Musaf next to you. Sit down. When you get bored, like Quran will be. When you get bored, you will obviously take the Quran. 100%, it works. It just works, man. And so, make it obvious. Make the Quran the only thing. When you compare it to this own strategy, he says that I should just revise the Quran and also do these things. It's not obvious. Like, it's not obvious. Like, in fact, it's even I don't even see the progress. It's just revised in my head and everything. It's not obvious, like at all. It's not obvious. And the way he mentioned it is that he doesn't use his Quran with him. He revises everything with his own brain. The only times you see him with Quran is when he wants to give someone, like, take my Quran and quote me and everything. And so it's not obvious, like, at all. Let's compare it with the second law of behavior change, which is make it attractive. There was this Qur'an Musabaqah that was happening. I think it was happening in 2025 around I think it was July time. And so that same friend, he wanted me to participate in this like 5 juz category, and I was just another time the Quran was getting harder and harder, and it was also in university, so I didn't have. I said I was coping, like I don't have enough time to revise the Quran, whatever. He tried. He participated actually in 15 juz. And he wanted me to participate, even for once. He wanted me to participate. I also want to participate, but it's just that the moment that the Quran competition came, I didn't consciously want to revise. So I just left everything. And that day, there was this There was this girl, I actually knew her. She was doing this tengim. Okay, in case if you don't know, tengim is like reciting the Quran. Just search for like people like Abdul Basit Abdul Samad. You'll see like this tengim, like just the way they recite is just so beautiful. She didn't know how to do tengim actually. It was this my friend that taught her how to do this tengim, and so she learned. And the way she was reciting, everyone was just, she captivated all the attention. All like even me, I was just sitting there like this. How my mind, everyone was just smiling, but in my mind, I was just thinking that could have been me. I'm sorry. That in my mind, I was just thinking that could have been me. My friend offered to help me for free to participate in this kind of competition, but just that I did not participate. Every single time I would like to say that, I've revised now, I've done this, I've done that. She got off from the that place. And I, after she dropped from the, after she finished the and after she came off the chair and she was sitting there, everyone was congratulating her. I remember my AirPod was with her. Physically, my face, when you see my face, I was angry. I went to her, I collected my AirPod, and I went back home. In my day, I was like, I have to do the Quran. I have to, because I had my hips was getting, I was just forgetting my head so much. In that moment, immediately I rushed home. I opened the drawer, like my wardrobe. I grabbed some money, my ATM card. I went to, there's a shop. I purchased the Quran. Immediately, I purchased a very new Quran. The Quran was very, very beautiful. It caught my attention, but like the money was kind of a little bit expensive, so we had to negotiate with the person. After some time, he gave me the Quran. I brought the Quran home. I was just looking at the Quran, looked so beautiful, and before you knew it, I just naturally I opened the Quran and I was just reciting. That fulfilled the law of making it attractive. Because the Quran was attractive to me at that time, I cannot just help but revise the Quran. Let's compare it with his own strategy. Saying that, like in fact, he doesn't even have the Quran with him. How can he make the Quran attractive if he doesn't have it with him? Okay? So, it doesn't satisfy the first law, it doesn't satisfy the second law. And let's move to the third law, which is one of the biggest reasons I abandoned his strategy, which is make it easy. Make it easy. And when you look at his own strategy, he says that I should revise the previous surah. For example, that time I was in Surah Al-An'am. Don't get me wrong, I memorized about half of the Quran, and I was just re-memorizing certain areas, and I was in Surah Al-An'am at that time. Surah Al-An'am, when I compare it, Surah Al-An'am, if you don't know, Surah Al-An'am is like hard. I'm not trying to discourage you, but like, is more challenging than normal surahs. And so before I was able to get it strong, it was a bit difficult. And remember, he told me to revise it from my brain, so it was difficult on me. Every single time I was sad, Alhamdulillah, الذي خلق السماوات والأرض وجعل الظلمات والنور ثم الذين كفروا بربهم يعدلون هو الذي خلقكم من طين ثم قضى أجلا. I was just revising the Quran like in my, without looking at the Quran basically. And he told me like whenever I feel a little bit stuck, I should look at the Musaf or I close the Musaf, keep it at my back, keep revising. The moment I just get, not just, don't like, the moment he's told me, the moment I get a little bit less confidence on that, I should just open and check. It was just a lot of friction, I would say. It was a lot of friction. It was a little bit difficult because I had to finish Surah Al-An'am. Surah Al-An'am is like 24 pages. So it takes me about like an hour before I will start the next surah. And I have to do every single day till I'm able to recite Surah Al-An'am, the entirety without looking at a page. It was difficult. And when I compare it to the law, it says make it easy. It was not easy. The law was not, the law says make it easy, and we human beings, like, we are lazy creatures. Like, by default, we are lazy creatures. In fact, even Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, we created man weak. The insan is like, not just a man, woman, no, everybody, human beings. So we are created weak, okay? By default, I'm not trying to cope saying we are all weak, so no need of working hard. Of course, you should work hard, But by default, you know that human beings are weak. And so they say make it easy. I was making it difficult. And then the fourth law, which is make it satisfying. He told me, well, first of all, let's explain make it satisfying. That previous person that I told you, like that told me I should recite the Quran slow. When you recite the Quran slow, like I've not seen a single person that was reciting the Quran slow and did not enjoy the Quran. Genuinely recite the Quran slow and try to beautify your voice, man. You would love that. Even though you will not do a lot of pages, but it's just that it has a lot of impact in the heart. And for a while in 2024, yes, at the end of 2024, at the beginning of 2025, I was also constantly I wanted to do this tahajjud so I can recite the Quran, because for the first time in my life I felt how khushu actually sounds. I felt it so much that I was thinking, okay, this is finally how khushu sounds, and I want to replicate that same feeling because it feels so good. And there was a lot of debate saying that you should recite the Quran fast, you should recite the Quran slow and everything. So I would recite the Quran slow. I would enjoy, I would do a juice in like 2 hours. I would do a juice. And then I would stop. People were talking about do it fast, and I would try to do 50 pages, and then I would quit, and I would come back slow. I would enjoy it, but I would do less pages, and that just a mess like this. And so, even when the first person, not the second person, the first person that told me to recite the Quran slow, I was enjoying it. But I told you, like, I was not seeing the immediate results, but I was just enjoying it. It felt so joyful, like. But my friend, however, told me, no, recite the Quran fast, try to completely do this mutashabihat and everything. It was just not sustainable. Like, if I can do it every single day, but I have to just constantly use willpower for this Quran. And the moment you use willpower every single time, like I'm 100% telling you, like the moment you use willpower, you're actually making yourself more likely to quit. Mark my words. Every single time you use willpower for a single habit, you are giving yourself the word. I want you to really internalize what I told you. At the moment you use willpower on a certain habit, you are giving yourself the ability to be more likely to quit. I was using willpower to revise the Quran like fast, and also it was not. I was just not enjoyable like at all. Imagine it was just it's not enjoyable. Okay, imagine if we were saying Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. It has an impact. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim, Maliki Yawmiddin, إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. How beautiful is that? But imagine if I said Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim Maliki Yawmiddin Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in ihdinas siratal mustaqim siratal ladzina an'amta 'alaihim ghayril maghdubi 'alaihim. Make it satisfying. That was not satisfying. I promise you, when you use all these 4 laws, behavior change. Make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying. I promise you, you would do the Quran. The Quran would turn into easy, like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says. There's 4 times in the Quran. وَلَقَدْ يَسَّرْنَا الْقُرْآنَ لِلذِّكْرِ فَهَلْ مِن مُدَّكِرٍ. And I'm not talking about mutashabihat. Some mutashabihat can be challenging, like, but by default the Quran is easy. It's just that we make it hard upon ourselves. We make it hard upon ourselves. So when you use these 4 laws, and I'm gonna give you a practical way you can use it. Like I said, make it obvious. I gave the tip of making the Quran like the only thing you should look at. Your only option, the only available option. You can try out, for example, if you're going to university, keep the Quran in your bag and go to university. I used to do that multiple times. Keep it in eyes reach. You should be looking at the Quran, which is true, but don't just look at the Quran, that's it. And actually, there's one method I found in the past, like, just squint at the Quran like this. For example, if I have a Musaf right here, this is the Musaf I use. Okay, this is the Musaf I use. And imagine if, just don't worry about this, it's a little bit dirty, I would clean it. Just squint at the Quran, look at the Quran, just squint at it, just keep looking at it like this for a few minutes. I try it and I got about 99% of the time. I open the Quran and just revise the Quran. So make it obvious and also like look at it every, just keep looking at it. Even if when you don't feel like doing the Quran, just look at it for a while, just keep squinting like this. You will see it has an impact. And so make it attractive. As you can see, I wrapped my Quran, and there is a little bit dirty is because I have like it goes a long time, so I have just packed a little bit dirty, but inshallah I'll wash it. Make it attractive. Find a way to beautify the Quran. Find a way to, like some people like women they also do it, but find a way to like take it to someone that will wrap the Quran. Okay, make it so attractive. Make it easy. This is one that the people do. Other things that ambitious people like me tend to just avoid, stay away from. Make it easy. Like try to make it easy. Make it easy. Make it easy. Find a way to simplify it. Like for example, the Maraja I mentioned, it was hard for me in the season I went into work season. The Quran. Just a few days ago, I actually came back on my Maraja because I was having this long streak of failing at my Maraja. And like I said, it was not easy, but the way I was able to make it easy is that instead of saying I must revise, for example, I memorize like half of the Quran. So the daily amount they say it should be a tenth or finish the Quran every 10 days or finish the Quran every 7 days. So that's around 50 pages to around 30 to 50 pages a day. And imagine the day you're not completely not motivated, and how would you do those 30 to 50 pages a day? And so I said, okay, on average, I'm going to do as much as I'm going to try to do 30 pages a day or 50 pages if I have the time. But any single page I do is progress. Any page I do is progress. So the days, for example, my entire day was occupied and I have very little willpower, just do the bare minimum. Like I will do like maybe 3 pages, 2, 3 pages. That's it, and I'll tick it. Having that momentum, having that you feel happy, and that happiness will lead you to do more Quran. So make it easy, make it satisfying as well. The best tip I can give you: learn good tajweed, revise the Quran slow. The house 100%. The return on investment is so high. You might not see the immediate results. Like I said, I was not able to see immediate results, but after a while, it will start to compound. So use these 4 laws, and I guarantee you, the Quran will turn from hard to easy. I would like to end with the humble quotes. Too much attention makes a donkey think he's a lion. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.